I'm Aaron from PhoneDog.com, and this may be the HTC device that you've been waiting for. I'm here with the HTC One X. This is the flagship device in HTC's One lineup, which they announced at Mobile World Congress back in February. This thing is packing a 1.5 gigahertz quad-core NVIDIA Tegra 3 processor, and I should point out that this is the global version. It's got an 8-megapixel camera with 1080p HD video recording, a front-facing camera, Android 4.0, also known as Ice Cream Sandwich, with HTC Sense version 4, a 1,800 milliamp hour battery, all in a thin and light package that looks good and fits well in the hand. I've had the pleasure of reviewing this for about a week thanks to HTC, so special thanks to them, and all in all, I'm pretty impressed, but there's a lot of stuff that's coming out on the market right now. Is it worth waiting for? We'll find out in the full review, but first some love to Best Buy Mobile for hooking us up with phones like this for use in our One Paw Bandit game. When you go into Best Buy Mobile, you'll walk out without dealing with any rebates, no paperwork, no waiting 8 to 10 weeks for your phone. At Best Buy Mobile, you'll walk out with the after rebate price. Let's take a look at it. HTC One X. Let's go back to HTC's widgets here because I want to give you a walkthrough of those and show you what comes on this device. So as we were talking in part 1, you can see the 7 home screens up here, and then we'll go to clock, and then you can see some of the different ones. Now they're organized by Android and HTC, so you can see the typical ones: bookmarks, calculator, calendar, things like that. We can just scroll through, and actually let's go back to all widgets. So you can just see some of them: bookmarks, calculator, various choices there, some various calendar choices, a bunch of clocks, digital and analog. You've got some contacts widgets, you've got FM radio, Facebook, FriendStream, Gmail, which these are stock Google widgets. The Gmail one, the Google Plus Photos, Google Plus Posts, Mail, then you have traffic, messages, music, news and weather, photo album, and then some of the little shortcut widgets: airplane mode, auto sync, Bluetooth, those and more, data roaming, profile, Wi-Fi, stocks. It just keeps going and going. Trends, trips, Twitter, weather. You get a couple of different weather choices here, and then ending it off with YouTube. So a couple of different options there. Let's go ahead and go through some of the speed tests and get those out of the way and take a look. So this is obviously an HSPA Plus device. I have an AT&T SIM card in the slot back here. It's a micro SIM card slot, and you need a little tool that comes in the box to remove that SIM card. So it's an HSPA Plus device that operates up to 21 megabits per second. You can see H is there, so it's operating, well, now it's back to 3G. But HSPA Plus is in play, and we'll take a look here at some of the settings. Wilson, North Carolina. Let's change that over to Chester, South Carolina, and then we'll change that to megabits per second, and we'll begin the test. Now, you're going to see this on the HTC, the global version. You won't see this on the AT&T version because it's actually showing me when it rotates between 3G and HSPA Plus, which AT&T calls 4G. So you can see it rotating back and forth. It's back to HSPA Plus now, and we'll take a look at the speed test here. Now, keep in mind it is 5:04 in the afternoon. I'm sorry, 4:04. In the afternoon, and so it is kind of rush hour time, so speeds may not be the best in the world, but we'll take a look here, and keep in mind this may not be indicative of your particular market, but we'll see here, and that is an oddly low speed, 0.01 megabits per second. That is clearly not right, and you can see on the upload it is coming in at about 0.55 megabits per second. I've been seeing this actually quite a bit since I've started reviewing this device. I've had this device for about a week, and I've been seeing that 0.1 megabits per second. It leads me to believe there's something wrong with speedtest.net and the way it's interpreting the speeds, either from Ice Cream Sandwich or from HTC Sense version 4, because it's doing it. It's been doing this with all the tests. It shows it at 0.01. You'll see it probably do it right now as well. So we'll just see if it does that, and then we'll skip along if it continues to do it. Let's see here. It's thinking network communication issues. So it's not an AT&T issue. You obviously saw in part 1 the web browser loaded up just fine. I've had no real problems downloading apps or anything like that from the Play Store. We'll go in here and take a look, for example, and let's say draw. We'll draw something. Draw something. So you can see obviously it's not working there. Let's see. There we go. So draw something, obviously showing up just fine, and speeds are relatively quick. It's obviously loading up the screenshot, so it's obviously working is my point. I don't know why it's showing such low speeds. I can download stuff, and it's downloading relatively quickly here. And while we're in here, you can take a look at the Google Play Store. But you can see it's running and doing downloads. So you've got what's new, rate and review, descriptions, reviews, and more. And obviously this thing isn't optimized for AT&T's network, so that's something to keep in mind as well. It is a global device, but still downloading, so you're wondering if that's obviously not 0.01 megabits per second speed, so something must be up there with Ice Cream Sandwich, but you can see it's successfully installed, and I can swipe over to get rid of that. So on that note, let's take a look at Quadrant Standard and see how this quad-core Tegra 3 processor performs in Quadrant Standard. Take it with a grain of salt. It isn't indicative of day-to-day performance, but this does show you how this device performs, at least in Quadrant standard. Call quality's been pretty good on this device. The earpiece has been nice and loud. The speakerphone is nice and loud as well. The only complaint that I've heard from some people, I've let people hold this, some friends, some colleagues, and some people in the building that I work with, which obviously is colleagues as well, but you can see, no battery. It's a little bit of a smoother back, and the biggest complaint I'm getting is that it's hard to hold in the hand. I think it's nice and curved. I think it's great for phone calls, but I'm hearing from some people it may slip out of their hands too easily, and that's a concern that they have. I haven't had that problem with this device, but something to keep in mind if you are looking at the device. It is a slippery back, but I haven't had a big issue with it in my time working with it and testing phone calls. Took this to an AT&T dead spot. It did maintain the call. It got choppy and almost cut out. And it cut out to the point where I couldn't hear and I had to disconnect the call, but it actually didn't drop on its own, which was a nice thing. So it's loading up right now. Let's take a look at the Quadrant standard scores on this device. As soon as we get through this final test, there we go, benchmark results. Let's take a look. And it's coming in at, drum roll please, 4,920. Huge score for Quadrant standard. 4,920 on the HTC One X. So you can see that quad-core processor performs pretty well in Quadrant standard and some of these other tests. Now, let's take a look at camera. 8 megapixel camera on this device, but it's important that we take a really close look at this camera because this is something HTC really focused on, if I don't drop the phone, really focused on in their actual announcement at Mobile World Congress in Barcelona. So let's bring in something. Let me see. We'll do this little press release. I'm going to fold this up so we can bring this in so you can take a look at some of the text. And we'll bring it in right here. Verizon Wireless launches the LG Lucid. And you can see it's going to focus in. We'll get it focused in right here. Let it focus in on the text. You can see it auto-focusing on its own. Not doing a very good job at the moment, but let's see. There we go. And then, bam, picture taken. Picture taken again. Let's get some sound in there. And you can hear it taking pictures. Now here's the feature that's really cool. You want to take a bunch of pictures and figure out which one's the best, or perhaps you're doing a moving event, something that's going really fast. Move back and forth like that, and then when you're done, it's going to load up the photos, and it's going to ask you to choose the best photo out of all the ones that you just took. So let's say you like the first one, we can make that the best shot, and then I could say your best shot will be saved, delete the rest of the images. No, we want to keep those because you want to see all the real life, the movement. So you can see I'm gradually moving over as I took the pictures. That's a really cool feature. That burst shot feature is pretty awesome, and then the settings in here, you can easily switch to camcorder, or you can go back to your pictures, and of course your editing options over here on the side with ISO, the ability to change resolution, video quality, and more. So it's a great camera. That's one area it does a really good job in, and I've been really pleased with in my time that I've had this device, which, like I said, it's been about a week, coming up on a week and a half by the time you view this video. So you can see here, there is a picture I took during lunch at Panera, and you can see just beautiful image quality, pinch to zoom, buttery smooth, easy to operate, and I've been very pleased with it. And you can see even when zoomed in, you can get some details on the building behind the trees there. So pretty impressive on the camera front. No complaints there. And then of course there's Draw Free, which you can download, and then by default all of those shortcuts appear on your home screen. You can cancel that out by going to the Android market. So all in all, really impressed with the HTC One X, and I would encourage you to stay tuned to PhoneDog.com because we've got a bunch of dogfights coming up. I'm really excited about this device, comparing it to some of the other high rollers on the market, like the Samsung Galaxy Note, its own brother, the HTC One S, the iPhone 4S, and some more, Galaxy Nexus and more. So keep it locked on PhoneDog.com. In terms of a review, really pleased with this device. I think HTC's put the focus where the focus needs to be. It's a decent camera. Battery life's been relatively decent, 1,800 milliamp hour battery. I've made it through a day with moderate use, and on standby it seems to work relatively well also. Moderate use, pinging out the charger at 8 o'clock. I can make it until about 9 or 10 o'clock at night with moderate use, texting, emailing, calling, downloading apps, and using Gmail. And of course doing some Twitter and Facebook updates prior to the battery shutting down. So you can see I've had it off the charger for a couple of hours now, doing a review at full brightness, and it's at 69%. And if I remember right, I pulled it off the charger at about 12. So with full brightness, with the screen on longer than a few seconds, that's really not too bad for an Android device. So I've been pretty pleased with that. Great device though. Look for it on AT&T soon, and with 4G LTE connectivity with a little bit of a different processor, and rest assured when it comes, we'll do a separate review on that one as well. In the meantime, be sure to like us on Facebook, facebook.com/PhoneDog. Vote on your favorite phone at PhoneDog.com/rankings, and then of course be sure to follow me at PhoneDog_Aaron on Twitter. Thanks so much for watching. More to come on HTC Superstar phone, the One X. We'll see you next time.